Good morning. It's 8 minutes after 10 on Friday. That means it's time for the Real Estate Fix with me, your host, Rich Szerman, on KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, your hometown station. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I appreciate it. Always do. We always like having an audience, although I think I would do this even if we didn't. But it's very nice to have you guys tune in today. I appreciate it. We got a lot of stuff we're going to go over today. We're going to do a little bit of news really quickly, and then we're going to kind of go over why who you hire matters. It's a big deal. We're going to go over how we give away money for free. So you're going to want to listen to this because we literally give away money. If you've got a real estate issue, whether you're buying, selling, or you're in trouble, whatever your issue is, sometimes, as odd as this sounds, sometimes the solution is often to throw money at it, and we're in a position to do that for you. So we give people money all the time to sort out their real estate problems. We give buyers money. We're going to talk about that. We give sellers money to fix up their house to sell. We're going to talk about that. And most importantly, if you're in trouble, if you've missed mortgage payments, if you're having trouble with your house, we can give you money to get you sorted out with that too. We're going to go over all of that today. So the topic of today is why who you hire matters, and why we give people money for free. Why we give away money to fix these things. We're going to talk about a state program as well. And we have a special guest, AC Dave of AC Dave, one of the funniest names for HVAC company I've ever heard, but they do spectacularly good work. And as you guys know, I like to... when you come across contractors that we use that are really, really good at what they do and totally trustworthy, and I recommend them very highly, we like to share those with you on the air so that you can use them as well. I consider them sort of my secret weapons to getting these sort of things done, whether it's a handyman or remodeling or landscaping, or in today's case, HVAC repair. I've got some great people I can introduce you to, and I've been doing this for a very long time. We try to keep our contractors busy. They're awfully good to us. We try to be good to them, and as a result, we get really good work. We pay a little bit less for it, and everybody wins. So we're going to talk about that. And AC Day is going to be in to talk about AC with us today and all things HVAC, and you'll see why we recommend them because they are absolutely fantastic. But anyway, let's get into the news a little bit. The mortgage interest rate did not do us any favors this week. Unfortunately, it's gone up. The average now is a little over 7.5, which is no fun whatsoever. You can still find mortgages below that. But the Fed raised the interest rate last week, and unfortunately, we were hoping that this money in the stock market was going to run to the bond market, and that would have kept the interest rate the same or lower, and unfortunately, it didn't. The money stayed in the stock market because I guess investors are not too rattled by the Fed raising the interest rate, which I told you was going to happen last time well before it happened, and I'm telling you again, the Fed is going to raise the interest rate at least one more time before the end of this year. We'll see if I'm right about that little prediction, but so far I've been pretty correct. The Fed does tend to telegraph what they're doing. They don't like to surprise the financial markets. But anyway, interest rate did go up a little bit. I want to read you a little article here from the good people at Yahoo Finance, and I think it's important because it will bear on the market. And the title of the article is "Mortgage Giant Fannie Mae Says a Recession is Still Coming at the End of the Year." And God bless Fannie Mae, their forecasting is not usually all that wonderful, but the fact, because they are such a huge lender, and for those of you who don't know, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are both what are called government-sponsored entities, referred to in the industry as GSEs. To make a long story short, they're sort of half government, half private is the idea, and unfortunately, and we'd learned this in 2008 with the mortgage meltdown, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were in a lot of cases getting the worst of both of those, both government and private. They've sorted out a lot of their problems, and whether they have or they haven't, they insure a good chunk of the U.S. mortgage industry, and without them, it would be very, very hard for the real estate market to function properly. They don't so much as loan the money as they do insure the money. Although in some cases they do actually do the loans themselves. They're a big deal. They're a big deal. They're a huge entity. And whether they're right or wrong, what they say has an effect on the market, a rather large effect on the market. So it's important to pay attention to what they say, just like what the Fed says has an effect on the market, because these are entities we need to listen to. Anyway, mortgage giant Fannie Mae says a recession is still coming at the end of this year. This is by the good folks at Yahoo Finance. Fannie Mae had an earnings call on Tuesday of this week, and this is what they were telling shareholders and everyone else in that. Fannie Mae's in-house analysis still sees a recession coming, even as the recent economic data comes in more robust than ever. According to Chrissa Halley, the CFO of, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, of Fannie Mae, the economy has remained more resilient than we expected earlier in the year, but we believe it is still on a decelerating path, and additional drags are likely forthcoming. While noting the probability of a soft landing may have increased of late, our Economic and Strategic Research Group expects the economy will enter a modest recession in the fourth quarter of this year, or the first quarter of next year. So fourth quarter of this year or first quarter of next year. The reason for the ongoing recession prediction: the economy and consumers haven't fully absorbed the effects of the tighter monetary policy, i.e. the Fed raising the interest rate, and stricter lending standards. According to her, banking stress remains a possibility, which is a very government-y sort of way, corporate way to say that there is a chance that other banks will fail. We lost 3 of them when the Fed started raising interest rates, or when they raised the interest rates at the beginning of this year, and we're probably going to lose a couple more. I hope that's not the case, but that's what happens when banks bet badly and interest rate goes up like this. So far, new home sales and constructions have been at times the few bright spots in an otherwise murky housing market with high mortgage rates have depressed inventory levels on the resale side. And again, the resale side is down, as far as volume, is down nearly 40%. There are 40% fewer homes coming to market, 40% being sold. That is a national number. In our area, it's a little bit worse. There's very little inventory, and as a result, there are very few sales going on. They're still going on, but it's just far fewer. Anyway, new construction, because of that, new construction, there's so little inventory coming to market. That's why new construction is been one of the few bright spots in the housing economy. Anyway, the inventory levels that have in turn helped to prop up home prices as the historically low supply can't keep up with the lukewarm demand from buyers. Lukewarm demand because of the raise in interest rate. Higher interest rates have all but killed the refinance business, which was but a whisper of what it had been during the pandemic. Refis are down approximately 90% across the board due to interest rates. That means there are 90% fewer people looking for refis right now, and that is very concerning. The reason for that is very simple. 2 years ago, you could get an interest rate around 3.5%, 4%. Now you're looking at 7.5%. So there's not a huge reason to refi. And the big number here, which we also get from Fannie Mae, is that, and Freddie Mac as well confirms this, 70%. Think about this, 70%, 7 out of 10 of every single U.S. mortgage currently active in the United States has an interest rate of 4% or lower. And when everyone's got an interest rate that low, they're not going to be anxious to refi, they're not going to be anxious to sell, and that's going to cause its own problem, which we're currently living through. Now, I've been saying for quite some time the interest rate needs to balance itself out at around 5.5%. I think the public will accept that. I think the industry will accept that. We can get back on track. But these 7 and 7.5% numbers are just killing us, because when the Fed says they need to knock down inflation, what they're talking about largely is the housing market. The Fed does not want to see the housing prices increase any more than they already have. And I understand why in the big picture, but when you live in some place like Southern California, where real estate is so expensive and our housing market is so volatile and it kind of has its own ecosystem because of the numbers involved, it does make it different than like the Midwest and other places that aren't as expensive. What the Fed is doing is really starting to damage a lot of the real estate in our area and a lot of the people who live in our area, because we got problems for sure, and they're not going to be solved by the interest rate continuing to go up. We need to see that interest rate start to come down, or the recession that Fannie Mae is predicting at the end of this year is not going to be the gentle landing that they're looking for. So I hope I'm wrong about all this, because as I say all the time, when it comes to the Fed, they don't ask for my input. So I figure my options are I can kind of ride along and hope for the best with what they're doing and assume they know what they're talking about, or it's white-knuckle fear. And I'm not a big fan of white-knuckled fear, so I just have to assume that Jerome Powell and the people at the Fed know what they're doing and hope for the best. But anyway, not surprisingly, given the rate, the environment, the purchase share of our acquisition reached 86% in the second quarter, a level we have not seen in 23 years, Hallie said. In other words, the number of refinances that Fannie Mae is currently seeing, that they are currently insuring, they are currently, giving the guidelines to, is down 86%. So almost, I said 97%, but they're 86% down, and it is the lowest amount of refis that they have seen come across their various desks in 23 years. So the interest rate has spiked crazier than it has in the last 11 years. It's gone up over and over again this year, and that has caused all sorts of other havoc. Now, I don't like to just bring you guys problems. I like to bring you solutions to these problems, and every problem has a solution, and so does the interest rate. So I'm going to read you the national interest rate trend at the moment, and I'll tell you how you can kind of beat that curve. As of today, August 4th, the current average interest rate for a 30-year mortgage is 7.39, and that is up 5 basis points. That's mortgage or banker talk for it's becoming more expensive. Since the same time last week. If you're looking to refinance your current loan, the national average for a 30-year fixed refi is 7.56, and that's up 11 basis points in 1 week. That is a crazy increase. 5 is a lot. 11 is nuts. Again, nobody's doing refis, so those who are paying for them. In addition, today's national 15-year fixed interest rate on a refinance is 6.78, up 6 basis points, still up a lot, but a lot more reasonable, since the same time last week. So, yeah, interest rates are going up. Now, again, the solution to this is, and sponsor the show, call Sam at the Mortgage Hub. He is fantastic. He's got a couple of our clients right now where they should be looking at interest rates well into the 7s, and he's got them still into the 6s. So he's got them interest rates under 6%. So it can be done, it can be found, but you need to have somebody working on it. That's one of the things we're going to reiterate today, is who you hire matters. If you go talk to a mortgage banker who is not as good as Sam, or who's working for a company that doesn't have the wherewithal as the Mortgage Hub does, you're not going to get as good a deal. Now, I'm not saying Sam is the only person who gets you that great a deal. I think he is. I think he's very, very good at what he does. I like him a lot. We refer to him all the time. But I know for a fact, because we're seeing it in my office, that Sam Chong with the Mortgage Hub is still getting people 30-year fixed interest rates under 7%. It can be done. Sometimes you have to do a buy down. Sometimes you have to fix credit. Where there's a will, there is a way, because we've got to get these interest rates down. Otherwise, the payments become incredibly just ridiculous, and people aren't going to buy houses under those circumstances. So we're fighting the interest rate like crazy, but it can be done. So even as the interest rate continues to rise, Sam's your guy. I mean, that's why I've done business with him as long as I have. He's a sponsor of the show. He's tremendous to work with, and he will get it done. Sam is just the best at this as far as I'm concerned. I recommend him most highly. Anyway, we'll talk about Sam throughout the show. He's kind of another one of my secret weapons to getting these sort of things done, because when everyone else is paying 7.5 on their purchase and our clients are paying under 7, we do a little bit more business, we do a little bit better business, and the clients are certainly a lot happier. So, on the topic of buyers, let's talk about how we fix some of the stuff with buyers. The biggest problem that we see with buyers in general, especially first-time buyers, is they do not have enough money, especially in the current environment. Who does? But especially in the current environment, it's much harder to buy a house now. There's this word I'm going to use, affordability, which has been the buzzword all year long, affordability. And right now, houses are less affordable than they have ever been. I've been doing this for 33 years. I have never seen interest rates this high with prices this high at the same time, and both of those heading in the same direction. Interest rates going up, prices going up the way they are now. We've seen this sort of thing before, but never quite like this. And I got to tell you, it's got me a little worried, because for every up, there is a down. And prices going up at the same time interest rates are going up is a bizarre phenomenon. You'll find in most parts of the country that is not still happening, but it is here. And we got to deal with it. So aside from going to Sam and getting a better interest rate that way, one of the things we do with buyers, and we especially love first-time buyers, is we will give you, if you're a renter right now and you can hear my voice, call me. I'm at 661-714-1400, because we will literally give you money to buy a house. Let's say that again. We will give you money to buy a house. Now, we can't do it all for you, but we can do a lot. We can give you 10% of the rent you have already paid back to buy a house. So if you're renting at $4,000 a month, which is about the average rent here in Santa Clarita, was that $4,000 a month? That's $48,000 a year. Over the course of 2 years, that's $96,000. So over the course of 2 years, at $4,000 a month, you will have given your landlord $96,000. Which is very nice of you to do, and I'm sure your landlord appreciates that. However, renting is not a great long-term plan. You don't get the tax write-off. You're not building equity in an area where equity is fairly easy to build. It is not a good way to go. And you have to sign year leases and stuff anyway, so the commitment is not that much higher than owning a house. The difference is with owning a house, you own the house. You can actually make some money with it. So what we get into with first-time buyers all the time is they'll have some money, but they won't typically have enough money to do the deal. So if you're renting at $4,000 a month, you're paying $96,000 over the course of 2 years, we can give you 10% of that back to go buy a house. This isn't use me to buy your house, we'll pay for your appraisal fee for $500. This is serious money. So yeah, 10% of $96,000 is $9,600. If we give you $9,600, it is going to make it easier for you to buy a house. Whether you're buying a house, a condo, an estate, whatever it is, having us give you money is going to make it easier. And again, when I say give, I mean give. You do not pay it back. We literally give away money. It's going to be one of the things we talk about today, about how we give away money for buyers, we give away money for sellers. The bottom line is, in any real estate transaction, there's a lot of extra. There just is. And that's the business. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about that. That's just the way it works, and that's fine. But what I found many years ago is we could turn some of that extra, some people refer to as fat in a transaction, but I just call it extra. We found a way to turn that into something that's profitable and positive for our clients. When it comes to buying a house, the commissions that we get paid when somebody buys a house are pretty good. There is nothing wrong with taking a little bit less from that commission for ourselves and putting some of that back into the client's deal so that the client can get a better deal. And our lenders do that with us, and we do that, and everyone we work with kind of pitches in so that people, buyers especially, get a better deal. It's not that hard. It's not that hard a concept. The whole idea of my business is the more you give, the more you get. It's not a revolutionary concept. It's the way it's always been. I think the first in my head, everything's a cartoon. So I figure the first caveman who killed more than he could eat and wanted one of his neighbors sharpened spears probably said, hey, try some of this. If you like it, I'll swap you some more for the rest of those spears. You know, the more you give, the more you get. It's probably the oldest business concept there is. It just seems revolutionary because so few companies operate that way these days. So our philosophy is somewhat different. I like it when we have first-time buyers. I think everybody should own a house. Consider your source. I'm in real estate and have been for a very long time. So if we can make it easier for a first-time buyer especially to get out of renting and to get into a property, why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we do that? So if we take a client, not only that, think this through from my point of view, from the realtor's point of view. If you are a buyer and we give you $9,000, $10,000 to help you buy a house, not only are you going to be, is it going to be easier for you as a buyer to buy that house, odds are pretty good you're going to come back to us again when the time comes. And hopefully you'll send us all your friends and relatives because you'll say, hey, there's this guy I talked to and he gave me money to help me buy my house. And we'll talk to you out when you come to sell a house. We want to be your counsel. We want to be your realtor for life. What better way to do that than start off a relationship by saying, here's 10 grand, let's go buy a house. Not only that, it's often the difference between people being able to buy and not. So if you are a renter especially, if you're a buyer at all, but if you're a renter especially, give me a call because you definitely are going to want my help because we are literally, and I cannot underline this enough, we are literally giving away money. So give me a call, 661-714-1400. Again, that's my personal cell phone. I give it out on the air all the time, 661-714-1400. You really can call me or text me at that number anytime, and I will, if I can't pick up, just text me. I will call you back as soon as I can. People are always amazed that that's really my real cell phone number. It is. So if you're a buyer, you're looking to buy a house sometime in the next 6 months, sometime in the next year, give me a call because we will literally give you money to help you buy a house. And to be able to pay for that, we're going to take a break now, go talk to hear from some of our sponsors, as we like to do. When we come back, we'll have Dave from AC Dave's, famous AC Dave's Heating and Air. We're going to talk about all things HVAC and why hiring somebody like AC Dave, I would say you should hire AC Dave above others because they are that good and their prices are spectacular and they stand behind their work. So we're going to talk about that when he comes back. And we're going to talk about what some of the stuff we do for sellers and some of the stuff we do for people in trouble. I'm Rich Szerman. You're listening to The Real Estate Fix with Rich on KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, your hometown station. Hello, welcome back. Thank you guys for listening to our sponsors. We always appreciate that. Sponsors appreciate that. I appreciate it when you come back and listen to the show very, very much. It's always nice to have. It's always nice to think somebody's listening to what I say. So it's always nice to have you here. We have a special guest in studio today. We have Dave with AC Dave, who I was lucky enough to literally stumble across about 7-8 years ago as a HVAC contractor, and they do fantastic work. I cannot recommend them highly enough. As I tell you guys all the time, whenever I run across anybody who's sort of part of our group of technicians and contractors and stuff that we go to all the time, I like to introduce them to you, because you guys should know that they're fantastic. I'm sure they're not the only fantastic HVAC company in the world, but as far as I'm concerned, they are. And they're local, and they're family-owned, and they are great. So AC Dave, let's see, you've been in the HVAC industry for over 40 years. You started AC Dave, which I just love the name of that company. That is just such a great, goofy name. You started that in 2006.
Yes.
And it's family-owned and operated. Yeah, by the way, my two favorite words whenever I'm looking for any sort of specialty is family-owned and operated. That and local, I suppose, might be my third word. So, yeah, local, family-owned, and operated. Always a good sign. You guys do everything HVAC, houses, office buildings, everything in between. I was surprised. I did a quick little search on you. I don't want to embarrass you, but I did a quick little search on you. And on Yelp, you have a 4.7 star rating. I'm surprised it's not 5 star. There's literally only one person who had a complaint, and it didn't seem like much of a complaint, to be honest with you. But the neat part about that is what you can do with. My staff helps me do this. What you can do is you can go and you can grab up all those reviews and put it into this little program, and it tells you what words come up most often. And we did that with all of your reviews. The words that came up, the 4 words that came up most often in people reviewing you guys and your services were honest, reliable, great, and amazing. I think that suits you pretty well. I think that holds you in pretty good stead. We haven't done that on me because I don't know that I would get the same response if we did the same thing going through the Yelp reviews for me. I hope so. But yeah, the 4 words most associated with AC Dave is honest, reliable, great, and amazing. And I would add myself to that as well. So I told some friends of mine you were coming in today, and I asked them to send me what question should I ask. Because my point of view is not always the one we want to go with, because I'm a little jaundiced by doing this all day, every day. And I got a couple of really good ones that I'm going to ask you. So you ready to take some questions?
Yes, I am.
All righty, let's do this. So my first question, this one's for me, is what makes a good HVAC contractor, and why hire a licensed HVAC contractor? That, to me, see, this is why it wouldn't be a question. But that seems pretty obvious. I would never hire somebody who wasn't licensed to do HVAC. That is something that requires a license. But in your view, what makes a good HVAC contractor?
First of all, he has to be knowledgeable. He has to be honest and not sell people stuff they don't need, or if he has a license and he has insurance to back it, because if you hire unlicensed, they burn your house down. First of all, your insurance may not cover you because you hired an unlicensed contractor. So then you're out of your own pocket.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. I hadn't even thought about insurance being a necessary component. So yeah, not only should you hire somebody who's licensed, but you should also make sure they have insurance as well, because they could burn down your house. I mean, hopefully not. I like to hope that's a rarity for most people. But it could happen, and you want to make sure you got those I's dotted and the T's crossed. So, yeah, very, very, very important. Also, from a real estate point of view, if you have work done on your house, with especially HVAC, with somebody who's not licensed, you're supposed to disclose that to a future buyer. And that is definitely going to dampen your ability to sell your house. If a future buyer, your cousin's, uncle's, brother's been working on this air conditioning system, oh, okay. And we were just talking, audience, before Dave came in. It's a personal story of my own, where about 3 years ago, in a house that we were selling, we got a bid through a home protection plan AC guy who said it was going to cost $12,000 to fix the HVAC in this house, and the family that was selling it didn't have it. And I thought, I know some people in the business we should call. We called you guys out, and I'm sure you don't remember this because it was such a small deal for you guys. It was $90. The $12,000 repair that they were ready to pay for because you guys came in cost the family $90. And the system is still working. We were laughing about this. I called the family involved. I called them yesterday, just to make sure the air conditioner was still working. And they said, yeah, it's working great. Why are you calling? And I told them the story. I said, because it was a $90 repair, and somebody else told us it was $12,000. And we did, they heard the story when they bought the house, so they knew. But yeah, $90 instead of $12,000. So that's $11,000 and change that you saved my client. So thank you. I appreciate that. Again, why the words most they come up with you guys are honest, reliable, great, and amazing. I get that. Okay, here's where that comes up a lot. How often should I replace my filters?
It depends on whether you have kids or animals or how often you open the door, but generally speaking, 4 times a year is enough. Heavy traffic, you might have to replace it every month.
Yeah, I see this a lot. There's a big difference between what you can pay for an HVAC filter. Everybody has the Super HEPA 12 or whatever numbers they want. Is there? How do you make that choice? Does it matter?
Well, older systems didn't have the return system and large filters on it. That through testing, we found out that the newer systems, in order to use one of those HEPA filters, have to be 3 times what you have.
Oh, okay.
So I've changed filters and put in HEPA filters, or the pleated filters, and the system stopped working. It would not cool the house.
Not allowing enough airflow.
Because the systems are designed to blow air, not suck air. So if you put in a filter that is too restrictive, it'll cost you more to operate your unit. Sometimes you're better off actually buying a air filtration system separate from your air conditioner, and or hire a contractor to come in and larger return systems so that you can use higher efficiency.
So in other words, it's not always best to buy the most expensive filter. That may actually do you damage because it's too restrictive. You just want to buy the right filter.
Correct.
And so for that, we can call you.
Yes.
I guess we'd also call the manufacturer, but it's more fun to talk to you guys. So I think we'd rather do that. Anyway, what are the advantages? I got this one actually from a bunch of people. It's an argument I've had with people over dinner a couple times. What are the advantages of a programmable thermostat, of an electronic thermostat? I swear by them. I know my heating and air bills have gone down. But I have some people in my life that don't necessarily agree with that. What do you think?
Advantages are because you get up in the morning and you forget to turn it up or down. It will come on and heat your house before you get up, and then it'll shut off while you're at work. It'll turn on and cool your house or heat your house before you get home.
We've also got a Nest system in my house, and what it does is it looks at trends. And it yells at you. It tells you how many leafs you've earned, or that you haven't, or that you're over, or you're under, or whatever. So it gives you the ability to kind of adjust as you go through as well.
I have a Nest in my home.
Oh, there you go. I also have a 17-year-old daughter. If my wife and I are out of the house, she will set the air down to Arctic blast because she likes to hang meat in our house, I guess. And she doesn't pay the electric bill as part of it. And I can change that. So I'll look and say, well, it doesn't need to be 65 in my house, and I can change it remotely, which also is nice. It saves us some money. So if you have teenagers, this is until they figure out you're doing that, then they're going to override you.
My dad gave me a house in Bullhead City, Arizona, so we have a Honeywell type.
Sure.
So we can look at it to see if it's cooling my house. Uh-huh. And we can turn it on before we go out there, so it's cool.
Also, it's set when you get, especially someplace like Bullhead, where what's the average price? I think the average temperature there is the sun. I think is actually where that works.
It's pretty hot. It's hit 130 once.
It's a lovely place. I've been there several times, and it's very nice. But it's hot. Feels like you're on the surface of the sun when you go outside. You're not prepared for it out there. Anyway, let's move on. What regular maintenance does an HVAC system require, and how often should it be serviced?
It needs to be serviced at least minimum once a year. We usually recommend twice a year because people forget to change their filters. Ooh. But items go bad, and they start going bad, and then your unit doesn't run properly. It starts costing you more money. If a capacitor goes out, it could burn up a motor or a compressor. It could cost you a lot of money. So we go out and we check wires to make sure they're not burning, make sure they're tight, and check capacitors to make sure that it's putting with bad capacitor, your motor will either overspin or underspin, causing damage to your unit.
So as my grandmother would say, an ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure, right? So you have people come out, you guys come out, you have them check your system, you go through it, it's worth it. You guys come out to my house once. I know it was supposed to be twice a year. I have you guys out to my house once a year. And it's worth it because, I've got a pretty good sized house and I'd like it not have to pay a fortune for my air conditioning. I certainly don't have to replace it because one item is broken and it's led to a cascade failure because we didn't deal with it. So you heard it. So I thought I would have said once a year, but apparently twice a year. So I learned something today. That's good. I like learning stuff. Oh, I get this one a lot too. What is a SEER? What are SEER ratings? SEER. We get that a lot.
Seasonal Energy Efficiency Rating.
I didn't even know that's what it stood for. Okay, great, terrific. I'm learning more. I'll have you next week.
The larger the number, the more efficient it is. And every time you increase by 5 SEER, you cut the air conditioning bill in half.
Oh, wow, that's terrific. I didn't know that. That's wonderful. So, so if you have a system that's, SEER 13, and you can get one that's SEER, what would that be, 18, you'll literally cut your bills in half.
Yes.
Well, that's incredibly important to know.
If it's installed properly.
And proper working order, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredibly important to know. I've been doing this forever. I didn't know that. I remember when SEER ratings became a thing, when we first heard of them. But I didn't know that for every 5, ratings, you cut the thing in half. That's wonderful. Move on to the next one. Let's see. This kind of leads into the next question. What can I do to help cut the cost of heating and cooling? Well, get a better system, I suppose. Have it serviced regularly, right?
Change your filter regularly.
I think that's the biggest one?
Rinse your condenser coil off.
Oh, okay.
Once a year, because air conditioning, all we're doing is removing the heat from one place and putting it to another. So air conditioning, we're taking it out of your house and we're putting it outside. But if your coil is dirty outside, you can't remove the heat. So it runs longer and at higher energy.
So 10 minutes with a garden hose and 10 minutes for $10 for a decent filter, $20 for a decent filter, and it'll last longer, it'll run better, and it'll run cooler. And it'll cost you less.
Don't make the mistake of doing it too often because there's minerals in the water.
Oh, we have hard water that builds up, sure.
We've had people put those misters on it because it brings their energy way down, but within a couple of months they need a new coil.
Yeah. Actually, one of your texts taught me that on a house a couple of years ago. Okay. This is one that comes up a lot as well. I think this is a pretty obvious one, but I'll ask the expert. At what temperature should I set my thermostat for summer and winter? Is that kind of a personal choice? I don't know how you answer that.
You're right. It's very personal. The government doesn't want you to put it below 78, and they don't want you to put the heat above 68. And so somewhere is close to that.
So maybe between 68 and 78.
My dad sets his at 81. He lives in Bullhead City because he gets cold. He's 88 years old.
Sure.
But he also keeps his heat up at like 74 in the winter.
Well, as I said, we have the constant fight in my house because my wife and my daughter like it very, very cold, and me not so much. So, I don't know if there's a real answer for that one. I think it's a personal thing, but it's nice to know the government has sort of set those standards for us. That's interesting. Let's see. We talked about this. How can I increase the efficiency of my system? We talked about that. We'll just keep it in good working order. Rinse out the coils every so often, and get a thing. Have you guys come look twice a year. I suppose is a big one.
Yeah, it's the winter. Winter we check the heat more, and in the summer we check the air conditioning more.
Yeah, and this is what you started to talk about a little. Definitely want to talk about this. But can an HVAC system improve the quality of the air in my house? And you mentioned earlier maybe installing a separate air purifying system. Could you talk to me about that a little bit?
Well, the newer systems are designed. Like in order for a 5-ton, which is system to work, you have to have two 20 by 30 air filter grills, and a 14 by 30. So great big grills up in your ceiling, but it'll get proper airflow.
And increasing the airflow helps clean the air as well because you're moving more of it through the filter.
There's additives you can put in like antibacterial devices.
Do you think they really work, though?
I love them. I had a customer yesterday that swears by them. She said her quality of life has gone up.
Because she's less allergies and stuff like that?
Less allergies, less colds. If you have colds and you're sharing colds, it helps to kill all the germs. Anti-germicidal. I can name them, but I don't know if I'm allowed to.
I don't think it's necessary for you to name them, Dave. Thank you. No, because we get that a lot. We get a lot of people who are like new to the area, especially, and they're just really not prepared for it. So we get a lot of clients who complain about allergies and constant headaches and things like that. So anything that we can do to help improve that, because it makes quality of living is better. That's kind of the idea. So does that mean there are separate systems that you have to buy to put in to do that sort of thing? Or are they part of the system that's already there? Or I guess it depends on the situation.
If you design your system right, you can put in better filters and you can put in I have them in mind.
Okay.
I have antibacterial in mind
Okay.
because it seems like when we get a cold or something, it just everybody shares it and it lasts longer. And when it's working properly, we don't.
It's not as big a problem.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the key comes back to maintenance. So to get it set up properly to begin with, have you guys come out twice a year and clean off those coils and get the filters in when you should, and that should carry the day for you for most of it. You think?
I think so.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to go over? Because I know I was very, very happy. And by the way, I want to thank you because we were supposed to have you in 2 weeks ago, and then I had a bit of a health scare, which took me out for a while. And you were very generous in agreeing to come back in because I felt horrible. I had to cancel on you guys. I don't cancel shows. The first one I've ever had to cancel. I just had no choice. There was just no way to do that. So I thank you very, very much for making the time for us, not just once but twice. It was very, very nice of you to do. And thanks for coming in and talking to us and talking to the audience about it. So hopefully you guys have learned something about HVAC today. The most important thing I think you should take out of this, other than the direct advice that Dave gave you there, is that if you have an HVAC problem, you should call AC Dave. You want to give him the phone number?
661-270-1961.
You can also get to them through me. You can call me at my cell phone anytime. I'll be more than happy, as I often do, I'll be more than happy to recommend AC Dave to you. I'll be more than happy to send you his information. And it's not just him. The whole company is fantastic. I think your wife mans the desk, if I'm not mistaken. The front desk, is that?
She manages the girls.
Yeah, they're just fantastic to work with. They really are. Because I am a giant pain in the butt to deal with, and they are fantastic to work with. I do not know why they put up with my nonsense, but I appreciate it very, very much. So everybody at the company is really terrific to work with. So if you guys have an HVAC issue of any sort, even if you just have questions you want to get answered, HVAC is your guy. He's a wealth of knowledge. The company is fantastic to work with. I can speak to that personally. We've got dozens of clients we've sent to you guys, and every one of them has said nice things. Ivan was telling you before I came in, I have a client who doesn't even live in this state anymore. We sold her house. She moved out of state almost 10 years ago. And she heard you were going to be on the show, and she sent me a very nice text message that she knows you and that was 10 years ago. She left, and she still remembers you and still speaks highly of you. So I mean, that's the kind of business that you want. That's who you want to do business with. I think again, family owned, locally operated. That is who you want, and I can recommend them most highly. So if you have any questions, call me, call AC Dave. Happy to help you out. If you have HVAC questions, I'll have to give you Dave's phone number, but I'll be happy to help you out. So thank you again for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. We're going to go to break. Here's some more of our sponsors, and we'll come back and we'll talk about what we do for people who are selling houses. Now, we give you money to sell a house, and most importantly, we can give you money to save a house if you're in trouble. I'm Rich Szerman. You're listening to The Real Estate Fix on KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, your hometown station. Hello, welcome back. You're listening to The Real Estate Fix with Rich. I'm your host, Rich Szerman. That's why we call it The Real Estate Fix with Rich. On your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220. Thank you guys for tuning in. On the last few minutes of the show here, the last little bit of the show, I got some stuff I want to go over with you. And mostly I want to go over how we give away money and how we help people who are in trouble. I know I'm saying that phrase a lot, give away money, give away money, give away money, but it really is true, and people don't believe me. I get calls all the time. Well, I heard that you do this and I did that. Yes, we really do. We really, really do. It's not brain surgery. It's just, the more you give, the more you get. It's not that hard to figure out. We just, we make a little bit less per deal. We do more deals. It's not that hard, and the affiliates we work with help us out as well, so there's all sorts of stuff. So we talked about buyers, and if you're a buyer, we can give you 10% of the rent you have already paid to go buy a house. We call that our rental rebate program. Literally 10% of the rent you've already paid, we will give you back in cash to go buy a house. It is real money. You can use it for anything that can be charged to escrow. Literally just giving away money. So if you're looking to buy a house, you might want to give us a call. Now, for sellers, what we'll do with sellers, we talked about this a couple of times, is we'll go in and renovate the house for you. With sellers, we can same sort of thing. We can give you up to 1% of the projected resale value of the house. So if you're selling a house for $8,000, that's $8,000 that we will literally just give you that we can put into the house. We talked about this on the air a couple of weeks ago. There is a house. A lot of people are asking where. It's on a street called Rhododendron in Canyon Country, and the one across the street, same exact model, frankly a little bit better location, has a view across the street. Versus ours, we sold ours for $93,000 more. They're only 2 months difference. So who you choose matters. The realtor matters. My clients got $92,000 more for the property for their property that is in a model match for the one across the street. And I would submit the one across the street was in slightly better condition. But we got 92 grand more because I'm pretty good at this. And what we did for the seller is we came in, we renovated the house, we put some money into it, seller put a little money into it, we got it all dialed in, new carpet, new paint, fixed some cabinets, got the pool sorted out, painted the back deck, all kinds of stuff, got it all looking good, got the outside all cleaned up, did the trim. Got the house looking sharp and ready to go, and it's sold in 3 days, multiple offers, and again, $92,000 more than the house across the street, which is a model match. And the biggest difference between those two things is the agent who sold the house. And I would encourage anyone to look it up if you're curious. I'll give you the data if you want, but it makes a difference. So if you're looking to sell a house, you might want to give us a call because we will give you money to fix up the house, and I'll introduce you to the contractors and everything else you need too. We help them, we stand behind all that good stuff, to get the house in its best shape. Houses in the best shape sell for the most money the quickest. It is literally that simple. Houses in the best shape sell for the most money the quickest. Not a hard concept to figure out, but let's get the house in the best shape so you can sell it for the most money. And again, we will give you the money to do a lot of this. Don't see how you turn that deal down. It's literally free money. So we give buyers money, we give sellers money, and the third part of that sort of trifecta that we do at my office is if you're in trouble, if you need a bailout, if you have trouble making your mortgage payment, if you got something else going on, whatever your situation is that's causing trouble, it may put you in a situation where you might lose your home, give us a call. We do a huge pro bono business, and I say huge just because a lot of it. We do it completely for free. You come into the office or give us a call. We'll help you out. We'll figure out your problem. Maybe we'll be able to get you a loan mod from the lender. Maybe we'll have to hook you up with Sam. We'll get you a refi. Maybe you need to sell the house. Maybe not. Depends on the situation. But give us a call. We'll help you get it fixed. And it would not be the first time that because we have what we call angel investors, we do this inside the company as well, who will loan people money to cure their default so they can get back on their feet. There's also a great state program out there right now that's backed with federal funds called the California Mortgage Relief Program, where they will give you up to $80,000 to cure a default. Now, that program's going to run until they run out of money, which is going to happen in the not too distant future. But so far, they still have money and they're still funding. So they will literally give you up to just give it to you. You don't have to pay it back. $80,000 is the maximum. So if you're in trouble, give us a call. If we can help you, we can put you into the state program. We can do a combination of the two. There is money out there to help you. That's what this comes down to. If you're in trouble, there is money out there to help you. You just got to give us a call. And again, my phone number, 661-714-1400. 661-714-1400. You can reach me at that number all hours of the day and night. If I don't answer, if I'm asleep, page me, I'll back, or I should say text me. I said page me, that kind of gives away my age, doesn't it? Text me and I'll call you back as soon as I possibly can. We do get a lot of people calling because there are a lot of people in trouble these days, and I suspect there are going to be more as time goes on. But yeah, we'll help you out. There is money out there. There is a solution to your problem. If you're a buyer, we will give you money to help you buy a house. If you're a seller, we will give you money to help you sell your house. And if you're in trouble, we will give you money to help you get out of trouble. There is money out there to help you. There's money that we can come up with the company. There's money out there through federal programs, money out there through state programs. There's all sorts of stuff out there. You just got to call and ask. We'll be happy to help you. We'll be happy to help you, So 661-714-1400. Now, at the last couple minutes or a minute or so that we got left here, there's something else I wanted to talk about that kind of come up this week that I think is important to shed some light on. The news component of KHTS was good enough to do a story about a client we've talked about a little bit named Beverly Fox. I wouldn't ordinarily use her whole name, but the article is out there now. And she is 90 years old. She very proudly will tell you she's about to turn 91. And she has a reverse mortgage with PHH. And to just give you the short version of the story, you can look in the story online. PHH is stealing from her. PHH put her into foreclosure erroneously, in my view, and they charged her a ridiculous amount of money for doing this. So they created the problem, then they charged her to solve a problem that didn't need to be solved to begin with. When you charge somebody money that you should not otherwise be allowed to charge, that's theft. When you threaten somebody with foreclosure, if they don't pay you, that's extortion. You're threatening her. So in my view, PHH, and I've said this before and I will say it again, steals from little old ladies and then threatens them, because that is what they are doing in this case. Now, without going over the article too much or getting into the article, one of the things that came up in the article, I should say, is that we mistakenly put in the article, news division mistakenly put in the article, they referred to me as Rich Szerman, local attorney and radius agent. I am not an attorney. I usually say that at the top of every show. I'm saying it at the bottom of the show because I wanted to cover this issue. I am not an attorney. I don't pretend to be an attorney. I don't play an attorney on TV. I am not an attorney. My wife is an attorney. I have another attorney in my office with me named Richard Becker, who's fantastic. I'm very lucky that we have some attorneys around. If you need them, we have them for you. I, however, am not. Now, the reason I'm saying that, and I'm saying it loud and clear, is because for reasons I cannot possibly explain to you because I do not understand this thinking, is when the story went out, a couple days ago, we got a lot of internet grief from people screaming at the top of their lungs as if their hair were on fire that Rich Szerman is not an attorney. You can't call him an attorney. He's not an attorney, which is fair. I'm not an attorney. I'm also not a rodeo clown. I am not an award-winning chef. I'm not a race car driver. There are a lot of things I am not. But for those of you who felt the need, and this is a very small percentage of the people who responded to that article, who felt the need to get on there and scream about the fact that I am not an attorney, rather than paying attention to the fact that there's a 90-year-old woman who's in danger of losing their home, I don't know what to say to you. I really don't. I don't care. You're not affecting me with this. I don't read that stuff. The only time I see negative comments is when staff brings them me or the station brings them me. I don't care what you have to say about me that's negative. I'm a big boy. It doesn't matter. What I do care about is saving Beverly Fox's house and keeping her in her house. That is what I am doing. So my question to those people out there who didn't say anything about the article and felt the need to come after me personally, what are you doing? What are you doing to save your neighbor's home? What are you doing to keep somebody like Beverly in their house? You can take shots at me all day long. Rich is not an attorney, and that's fine. I'm not an attorney. You can say that fair criticism was a mistake. It was a mistake in the article. We found it. We fixed it. It has been corrected. Things happen. It's not that big a deal. But I would suggest that maybe rather than spending your time going online and screaming and yelling about the fact that I am not an attorney as if it's some great big aha that you have suddenly discovered, which I don't get because I say it once a week. I am not an attorney. I say it all the time. I sound like one, I guess, so I guess my mom would be happy that I'm confused as an attorney, but I'm not. Those of you who felt the need to put that energy into that, what I can suggest to you is maybe instead send an email to PHH. Send an email to PHH that says, Rich is not an attorney, but you should not foreclose on Beverly Fox's house. Maybe do that. That might actually be useful. Because getting online and screaming and yelling like you've discovered something, which is not any kind of a discovery, or there's some sort of aha that I'm supposed to be in trouble for, which I'm not, I never said I was an attorney, it's just a waste of your time and, more importantly, a waste of everyone else's time. Take that same energy and funnel it into something that might actually help someone rather than just soothe your own need to yell. Funnel that into something that is good for someone else. Send an email to PHH that says, don't take this woman's house. I saw this article. She's 90 years old. She's about to be 91, and I think what you guys are doing is wrong. You shouldn't take her house. Do that. You don't want to yell at PHH? How about Carrington Mortgage? They do very much the same thing. Send an email to Carrington Mortgage. I don't think you guys should behave this way. I don't think you should steal from and torture the elderly. I think that's wrong. How about we just agree that that is wrong? That stealing from people who are vulnerable, stealing from the elderly, and torturing them is wrong. Surely we can agree on that, right? If I say to you, is it wrong to steal from and torture the elderly? We can all agree that the answer to that is yes. So instead of wasting your time and everybody else's writing these ridiculously hurtful, nonsensical emails that are just frankly mean and dumb, why don't you spend your time reaching out to these companies who actually commit these violations and actually helping someone other than yourself? I'm sure you can find another way to soothe your ego rather than just writing horrible stuff online behind anonymous handles. I'm sure you can find another way to do that. So why not actually do something that's helpful? If you want, call me. I'll discuss it with you. I'll tell you I'm not an attorney. You get my telephone number all the time. So rather than anonymously sending these emails because you think you've discovered something, call me. I'll discuss it with you. I'll give you the email address. If you want to complain, I will give you the email addresses of people to complain to. You can complain about me. That's fine. I don't care what you say about me. What I care about is keeping Beverly Fox and all the Beverly Foxes of the world that I'm lucky enough to represent in their homes. That is what I care about. I care about keeping a roof over a 90-year-old woman's head. What do you care about? Shouldn't that be the question you ask yourself? Because I don't think a lot of you even read the entire article. You just saw Rich as an attorney and went nuts. Now, luckily, that was a very, very small percentage. Most of the people who saw that article responded to it very positively. A lot of support for Beverly. And those of you who did that, thank you. We love you. I appreciate it. We're sending a lot of those to Beverly so she can see them as well. All the support is very helpful to her, so I really do appreciate it. I don't want it to seem like that was the majority of the comments we got. It's not. It was a very small percentage. But it was enough of a percentage that I was just flabbergasted that you would spend time with this. The fact that I was mistakenly identified as an attorney, which was a mistake, is not the point. The point is there is a 90-year-old woman in Canyon Country who is very much in danger of losing her home, and even if she doesn't lose her home, they are still stealing from her. So how about we focus on that? I think it would serve us all a lot better if we did that. I think all of us, as a group, as a species, as humans, would be better off if instead of putting that kind of negativity out there for no reason whatsoever, that you funnel that into something that's more positive. I just think that's the way to do it. It's the way I handle myself. My wife says about me all the time that I found a way to take my less desirable personality traits, and I've got quite a few of them, and funnel them into something that's positive for other people. In other words, I am a stubborn SOB, and I am a problem. But when I get my teeth into something, I don't let go. And that is why Beverly Fox is going to keep her house, and that is why PHH is going to back off these ridiculous fees, and that is why we're going to put an end